Okay, so our second screencast is devoted to talking about down payment, and how that's going to affect your total monthly payment and how that's going to affect equity down the road. We've seen down payment and talked about the idea of putting a down payment down in when we did our cars unit and how that's going to affect your finance charge and how much you pay overall over time. So we start with this worksheet here, monthly payment with down payment. And we kind of just revisit the idea of a down payment, how the more you can put down, the better, because that's going to bring down the principal, which is what you borrow from the bank and what you pay interest on. The lower the amount of money you're paying interest on, the less money you're paying over time. So we just revisit that idea and remind them of when we visited that, and we talked about that with cars. So then what we do is you can create or you can share with them this monthly payment calculator. The way we did it this year was we shared this sheet with them. Again, this year I tend to spend less time on actually formatting my calculators with really just making sure they know the formulas. And that just depends year to year where my levels are in my class of how good they are with working with sheets and how, and if they're not, and if there's a really big divide between the kids who can just, bang this out in a couple of minutes, or the kids who are going to really struggle with formatting this. So, I give them this, and they have to make a copy of it. And then what we do though is we talk about, I leave the formulas in. I've actually talked about how I've copied and pasted them and just added cells and inserted them. And I might go through the process of showing them how I did that. Taking that mortgage payment calculator from the amortization table, but just adding this line here and now adding, these two lines here and adding these 3 lines here. So, but we didn't put the formulas in. So, that's something we can do together. And, this one was easy. Like, here's your purchase price. Okay, this is the down payment amount. Looking at the example here, the first one where it's just, an amount, a set amount that you're putting down. And can we come up with this formula? And most kids are going to be able to come up with equals, B4 minus B5. And sometimes we'll ask questions where it's given as a percentage, you're putting 20% down or 15% down or 10% down. And so we create this calculator for that purpose. And this formula is just a little more complicated, but again, should be simple for most kids to be able to come up with, a calculator to multiply the percent by the purchase price and to get the down payment amount. And then it's the same formula in E6 as basically as we had in B5, or I think I'm off, E7 as we had in B5, where we're just taking the purchase price minus the down payment amount, and that will give us the principal. Rate and time we're going to have to put in based on whatever scenario is given to us, and then these calculators will calculate the monthly mortgage payment, the total amount paid, and the finance charge. So we do that, and then we go through and we answer these 2 questions. And then depending on how much work you've done with Zillow, you can go right ahead and have them come up with 2 house examples for Zillow and record their information here. The address of the house they found, what the for sale price was, what would the monthly mortgage be with no down payment, what would it be with 10% down, 15% down, 20% down. Have them come up with 2 examples, and then, when you bring everybody back together, you can go over a couple of examples and take it even further, where you're looking at their information that you've entered in here and, okay, look at the monthly mortgage payment and how that changes, but how does that affect the finance charge? What you pay the bank to borrow the money, how does that affect your total amount paid? How does the total amount paid compare to your purchase price? So that can open up a lot of discussions here as well. And that is it for total monthly payment with our down payment lesson.